Good morning, this is Dwayne, and I'd like to talk today about how to play, how to form, first of all, play and use seventh chords on the piano. Seventh chords are very, very useful, but there's quite a variety of them, and I just want to go over that with you first, and then talk about how to use them in some context. The most used kind of seventh chord is called the dominant seventh chord. So if this is a C chord, we add the flatted seventh of the scale. And that creates a dominant seventh. And a dominant seventh always wants to move up a fourth. Okay, 90% of the time or more, that chord will move up a fourth. What do I mean by fourth? Well, four notes up from the root. 1, 2, 3, 4. So C seventh likes to move to F. You know that. It's a natural chord progression. If we're in the key of C, let's go to the key of F. The seventh of the key of F is there, and it wants to go up a fourth too, to B flat. If we're in the key of G, the seventh chord wants to go to C, up a fourth. So seventh chord, dominant seventh chords want to move up a fourth. So we use those a lot in transition as we're moving up a fourth. Okay? But there's another kind of seventh chord too called a major seventh chord, and that's formed by using the scale seventh. In other words, if you're in the key of C, that would be B, the seventh note of the C scale. Okay? And that's entirely different. When you see C7 in a sheet music as notations, that always means a dominant seventh. If they want you to play B, they'll say C major seventh, C major seventh, okay? And that's a useful chord too, but it's not used near as much as the dominant seventh chord. And then there's other kinds of sevenths. For example, a minor seventh chord would be like that. You'd have a minor triad plus the dominant seventh, okay? But you can also have minor with a major seventh. That's used very, very rarely. I think, probably 0.5% of the time, or maybe less than that. But it's possible. Also, you can have a diminished chord with a major seventh. There's also a chord called a diminished seventh, and a diminished seventh is a diminished triad with a double flatted seventh, and it looks like that. That's a diminished seventh chord right there. It looks like a 6, but if you look up in your theory book, that's called a diminished seventh chord. Diminished seventh. And by the way, there's only 3 diminished seventh chords. That one, and that one. Why? Because all the rest are inversions of the first one. In other words, that is exactly the same as that, isn't it? It's just an inversion. It's an upside down version of the same chord. By the way, that's was often used in movies in the scary time when there was some tension being built, because it's a natural tension builder. Okay, so let's get back to the dominant seventh and just use it in context. Let's say I'm playing along. See what I'm doing? I'm adding a dominant seventh to each chord. And we're back to C. I went all around the circle of fifths, 12 degrees, okay? So dominant seventh chords want to move up a fourth naturally, okay? And you use that when you want to change from that chord to go up a fourth. Now, let's take up the major seventh chords, because they're not used near as much, but they're beautiful. I use them all the time, and they give that kind of feeling. See, that's a major 7th chord, isn't it? When Errol Garner wrote that, he purposely used that major 7th chord because it creates that kind of misty or nostalgic feeling. Okay. Now you can use it in inversion too. I don't use it that way very much because there's not too many times when B would be on the top of the C chord. But if I'm playing a song like this with the C chord and I want to use a major 7th, I often do this. Okay, it creates that nice soft sound. Okay, and you can combine it with a major 9th as well. A major 7th with a 9th sound. It's a nice sound. See that? Major 7th and 9th. Okay, so don't be afraid to experiment with a major chord like that by turning it upside down and adding the major 7th. Okay, Bill Evans years ago played a famous piece called Peace Piece, and it goes something like this. Just 2 chords, most all the way through. The first chord is C major 7th, and it has that peaceful sound. And then he moved up to F chord with G on the bottom. So it's kind of a suspended kind of feeling. That's actually a F 9th, by the way. It's a F chord with a 9th in it over C. So there's lots of ways you can use that major 7th chord. They're also good for using runs. Like if E's the melody, I can place, you know, the C chord, but I can put in the major 7th. And run it right up the keyboard because that's easy to do. You just break up those 4 notes and then tuck your thumb under. Okay, so and then you gradually speed up. Okay. Well, that's it for today. If you enjoy these little tips, then come on over to playpiano.com and sign up for my free newsletter. And the newsletter covers chords of all types, including these and lots more, and chord progressions. We'll eventually get into chord progressions as well. So that's it for today. I'll say goodbye and tune again tomorrow when we'll take up another little piano tip like this. So bye-bye for now.